coming up this week on the show, Gary's back. We've not done a roundup show for a while, so we're going to be talking about, I've got the new Surface Pro. This is the Snapdragon one, which I'm going to be testing and trying with the music apps, because Steinberg has used Cubase for ARM version of Windows, so we'll be trying that and seeing how practical it is for studio use of music making use. There's actually some new Surface devices as well, so we could talk about that. Gary's been to some EV shows, so we'll be talking about that, and so we'll get all the latest EV news as well. So let's get straight to Gary. Gary, good evening.
Good evening, Ian. It's good to be back.
Good to be back.
Although I can't say I haven't been enjoying the last few shows. I mean, the music stuff's been brilliant. So
yeah, we had some good guests in the last few shows, haven't we? So yeah, I've enjoyed doing those. So yeah, but it's good to catch up on some of the tech stuff as well. So we were talking with beat Zinnemann last week, and we've had a few good shows recently as well. Yeah,
I've been listening to a lot of that online on my long journeys lately, so that's been really good.
Yeah. So we've got plenty of to catch up. So Microsoft announced new Surfaces aimed at some of the business, but some of the consumer ones. And I've actually got a new device here to talk about as well. I think I briefly mentioned the DW8000, which I've got set up. That's the 1986 synthesizer set up over there as well. I can talk a bit more about that, but I posted the first video on that, so that's been quite nice. And so we've got some new headphones here, which are rather nice. So I did a review of these, but they're the low latency ones, so they work great with USB on Bluetooth, with your laptop. But of course, what I use here, I've got a mixer, my desk mixer, which all the synths are plugged in. So it actually comes with one of these. So this is a low latency transmitter. So it's not a Bluetooth transmitter. It's an actual low latency transmitter. So it works with the, if you want to use it in a studio and that kind of thing. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, so they're really good. So I've got a video on them. I'll find the name of it actually. I'll get the name of it in a sec. But again, it comes in a nice set as well. So you get a little bag with it, and you get cables as well. So only can you use it through that sort of setup which I was showing you there wirelessly, but you can also, sure I can see it on the camera. Yeah, it's also got the proper input on there as well. So there's a full cable. So big, nice curly cable as well. So you could put that with no batteries needed, just directly into the desk or whatever you need.
So who are what make are they? What model are they?
Yes, that's what I was just gonna
bring
up. Yeah, I was gonna bring up. I don't think it actually. It will say on it. Yeah.
Not the most important information for anybody listening.
Yeah, so it's OneOdio.
Right.
OneOdio is the brand name, and these are the studio headphones that they've released. So, like I say, it comes in sort of nice pack. Let me bring up my blog post, and then I can get the price on them. But yeah, they're nice, and they're very comfortable as well. They've got these nice.
They look good. I have to say they do look good. I'm looking for a new pair of wireless headphones, so that might well be on my list.
So they're the Studio Max 1 headphones. So they are OneOdio Studio Max 1. And they're designed for sort of DJs, audio professionals, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I wear them at the desk, and I've sort of been wearing them sort of all day when I'm working at home, and don't really get much. They're very comfortable, so they're not sort of giving you an earache. There's a 120-hour battery, and dual high-res audio and low 20 millisecond latency on them as well. So, like I say, it comes with this nice little bag, which I've got here. So, tangled up with all my cables. Yeah, it comes with a little bag as well, which includes the nice cable as well that you need to, if you want to connect it direct as well. So, really nice set. Not the cheapest ones, but yeah, they are very nice and pretty much comparable with the Beyerdynamic Studio headphones I've got as well.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, 160 for that? That's not bad actually, is it?
No, they're they're very nice. They're very nice, and they're very comfortable. And I just tend to put them on charge maybe every other day in the evening, just when I finished for the day. But I don't worry about constantly charging them or anything else. Of course, they've got nice USB-C charging cable on there as well, and the same for the transmitter. That's USB-C as well. But yeah, they're really nice, and I just use it. It's pretty good when I'm working in here, because I'm working, I can sit here, but then if I go over there to use that keyboard or that one, I'm not tripping over the wires, which I normally do. So yeah, they're nice and comfortable as well, and I've had no issues with pairing or dropping off or anything like that. I have it paired with this laptop, and I also have it with that connector as well. So I usually use it through the desk, because everything plugs through the desk. But yeah, it's quite a nice little setup though.
Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive.
So I mentioned surfaces. So there's a couple of things on that I wanted to talk about. So what I've got here is my first ARM-based Surface since my Surface RT.
Wow.
So this is the Surface Pro 11, but this is the Elite X Snapdragon one. And first of all, have you tried the Flex keyboard yet? I don't know if you've seen those. So this is the Flex keyboard. So it's got the pen holder on there.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll notice that one thing, there's no pins or wires on it. It's Bluetooth.
Right.
So I can use that now, and in fact, it's show you. So there's the Surface, and you'll see the mouse. I don't know if it's moving around on there because they're working.
Yeah.
Because it charges using wireless charging. So yeah, so you can have it clipped on like you would do with the do it one-handed. Oh, put it upside down now. Yeah, so you can have it clipped on as you would do normally, or you can have it clipped off and have it separate apart. So you can have it over there and the keyboard in front of you, however you want it. So it's actually quite a nice solution. So it's the first time I've used one of those, and of course this has got the pen holder on it as well. It's doing,
nice.
yeah, so it wirelessly charges the keyboard and the pen, which is really nice as well. Because, and then this is the Snapdragon processor on there. So what I was really interested to try with that is the music stuff. We had Pete Brown on the show a couple of months ago. Pete's going to come back on the show later in the year as well. And of course, Cubase and others at Steinberg have brought out special versions of ARM music software, because they're quite driver dependent, that kind of software. So I've been installing different things on it. So I've got Cubase 14 on here, and what it does make is a great little music studio, because it's that plus your keyboard.
Yeah, it's so lightweight.
Yeah, and I've got loads of these Bluetooth, not USB-C docks locking around. So I just plugged one of those in. We've got two USB-C ports on there, so I've got one of the docks, and I can plug the synth straight in. And yeah, I've been doing some testing with that, and actually getting pretty interesting and good results with it. So running the full version of Cubase 14 on here, I don't know which version I've got, the studio version, whatever. And yeah, I've got a full track written on there, and I can probably can't hear it through the Teams muting it out. But that's a track that I recorded earlier on there, and yeah, just hooked up to MIDI. And so a couple of things that you've got that you can tell it's early stage in this. Of course, this is the native version, but you need audio drivers, and Microsoft don't ship any audio drivers for the Snapdragon yet. But I think Pete Brown posted on one of the videos he did saying that they are looking at doing inbox ones later this year as well. So I think that's coming. But Steinberg do a native ARM64 ASIO driver. So that's the standard. So I tried that with my Behringer mixer that I use all the time, which it worked fine. And I tried it with my Keystage, which is a MIDI controller, which is audio and also an audio interface, and it worked fine with that as well. So they work straight out of the box. At first, it didn't install, and I couldn't get anything. And then I ran the downloader again, and it said, "Oh, you need this driver." So I got that installed. So I said that's that's working fine as a little mini studio. I mean, I know you can do this on the iPad, I think, but I'm a Cubase user. I don't think there is one for iPad, so this one is great for me, and I love. It's a proper Windows PC as well. There are some limitations with it, of course. The biggest one being if the application trying to install blocks it. So this is one of the things that I've found with it. So I installed, obviously Cubase works fine. I installed some third-party VSTs that weren't specifically designed for ARM from Cherry Audio. It was the Prophet 10 one, and that worked absolutely fine because it runs within Cubase, which is running in the ARM environment. No issues with that. When it came to some of the Korg software, like the editor librarians for the recent synths, the installer blocks you and says this is won't run on your platform. So it doesn't even run in emulation, doesn't give you the opportunity. The installer blocks it. Whereas I tried Camtasia Studio, which is an Intel application, but that worked because it's not blocked and it runs under the emulation. So I think I did contact Korg and say, have you any plans to support it? And they said they hadn't got any plans to support ARM64 at the moment, but it's on their feature list, or it's on their request database or something like that. So I think it's a bit of a shame. I don't know from your side, Gary, from the development side, is it just a question of their installer is blocking it, and in fact if they just took away that limitation it should work, or is there low level drivers? I know it uses the NCM and MIDI. I've lost your audio there, Gary.
Let's bring my audio back.
That's
better. Sorry, but Teams had switched my microphone for some reason. No, I was going to say it could well be low level drivers. That's not an unusual thing. It could well be like that.
Which is why some of the older applications, I did try some of Korg's old tools like the Wave Station, and that worked fine because it's older and doesn't need the special MIDI drivers. I also tried just the USB, various USB things to plug in to see what they worked. So all the synths in here worked with the generic drivers, didn't need special drivers. So the ones I tested anyway. So I tried a cheap 10 quid USB MIDI interface that worked. So the Korg one, despite them, I can't use their tools, but the drivers work. The same for the ModWave and the Multipoly. Didn't get the editors working, but they worked as MIDI, so you could use them within Cubase. But so there is work to do for more support. But I guess the more ARM machines go out there, the more support there will be, the more pressure there will be on the manufacturers. But I think this story is going to get better later in the year when Microsoft ship a lot of the stuff in box with the ASIO drivers. But the latency was a little bit laggy with the native one using the built-in sound card, but it's not. It was about 10-20 milliseconds. It was better on the other ones, so on the Korg device. But anyway, the built-in one works as well. So it's a nice little package for doing, for music stuff if you've got the right drivers. And like I said, Camtasia Studio it works absolutely fine. That's running the Intel emulation. So most things I've tried seem to have worked, apart from these ones where the installer actually blocks it on there. But it's interesting and it works well. The battery life is better than the ARM than the Intel version. Definitely, I'm getting really long battery out of it. It's certainly quicker as well. I suppose the other thing I did want to mention is recall. It's the first time I've tried it. Have you actually tried it, Gary?
I've played it with it. Yeah.
I haven't really had a massive use case for it yet. But for anybody that doesn't know, this recall is a bit controversial, isn't it, about privacy thing? But what effectively it does, it runs in the background, and it's kind of keeping a screenshot of things that you're doing all the time. So you can go back in time to where you were, so earlier on today, and see exactly what was on the screen. Now, it's not doing like a system restore or anything like that. You can't go back to where you were this morning and carry on from where you left off. It's keeping the screen images. But what you can then do is use the AI processing on here is to take the images or the text and read the text off there. So it will do it will take exactly the text off there, and you can copy it to the clipboard and that kind of thing. So there's also a similar thing to that, which is, I think it's called Click to Do, where it will. Oh, I've got something to show you. But Click to Do will effectively screen grab what you're looking at. Let's say if I go open a screen, do Click to Do. I've done it on a web page there, and there's some text in there which is an image, and I can actually grab that text, and it's decoded it straight out of there. So you can get images, and it can pull the text straight out of those images, like you can do a lot of applications, but it's built into the OS. I don't think it's going off on a round trip to the cloud to do it. It's doing it on the device because it's got the NPU on there. So again, it's not something I've used a huge amount of, but it's probably one of those things when you've got a specific time and you need it, you can, that's when it'll be really good. So I really like that. There's other things as well, like when you're in search, it's got a little AI. I can't really show you, but it's got the AI indicator that it will start to use AI to search rather than just a text matching in there, and it shows you that it sort of highlights that as well. Of course, it's got Copilot and all that built into it. So for productivity, I can see the advantage with that, and it's interesting that Microsoft have the all this extra stuff in the ARM versions and not in the Intel versions. Because they have launched or announced a couple of new Surfaces today, haven't they? A new 12-inch one.
Yes, yeah, I saw that. I haven't actually had a chance to check the details out today, but it looked interesting.
Yes, so I can share this. So they've launched two. There's a 12-inch Surface Pro and a 13-inch Surface laptop. So the 12-inch Surface Pro actually is quite kind of interesting because it's not that much bigger than a Surface Go, and it's a bit smaller than the Surface Pro. So it's kind of in between. I'm surprised they didn't just make a slightly more put the ARM in and do a sort of a premium version of the Surface Go, but they keep the Pro line as the premium ones on there. So yeah, it's 12-inch, which is really nice and snug. But it's got the Snapdragon processor on there as well with the Elite X. So the features that I'm just talking about them, work in that. But yeah, there's also the Surface Laptop 13-inch. So it's a bit smaller. They dropped some of the ports as well. I don't think you can kind of see that from these pictures, but I can't see a Surface dock port on any of these new devices.
No, I can't either. And no magnetic charging either.
No. So yeah, so I was singing the virtues of that charging, singing the praises of that keyboard there, but that doesn't work with this one. You don't get that sort of keyboard because it is that lower price point, I suppose. And I think also they've dropped the touchscreen from the laptop as well, which I think makes sense. Really, I very rarely use the touchscreen on my laptop. I use it a lot on the Pro and on the maybe even on my Surface Laptop Studio. I do fold it sometimes, but I've got a Surface laptop, and I never use the touchscreen on that one. So it makes sense to drop it from a laptop and keep it on the tablet type ones. But I like the 12-inch one. I think that's a nice small, smaller device, isn't it? With a nice form factor. You can see when you look at it on the screen now, you can see it's more curved, isn't it, than the other ones? Like I said, it's not got the magnetic charging, so you still the wireless charging. So you've got the normal charger, and the pen, I think, is the other thing. It doesn't sit in the keyboard like the one I just showed you does. I think the pen actually has a magnetic thing to clip on the back of it.
It's a slim pen, isn't it? So it clips on the back.
Yeah. So I always worry about losing the pens when you have them clipped on the side like this. Exactly how I lost my Surface Go pen in Heathrow Airport. So, so it's somewhere here. So these look nice devices. I must admit, the Copilot and everything else, all the AI stuff on them there. They're a bit cheaper than the Pro. That's sort of that I've been showing there. So I think it starts from 799, which is quite a bit cheaper, I suppose. It's in between the Go 4 and the Pro and Pro line, I suppose, as well, isn't it? And they said they've got all the AI stuff. I don't know what the specs are. So yeah, £759 for the device. You don't get a keyboard on that. And that ships in June. And then you've got the Pro 13 is 977, and that I think that's shipping now. You can actually order that if you want to look at what the features got. Yeah, so that's the Snapdragon. The cheaper one is the Snapdragon X 8-core version with LCD display, 16 gig of RAM, 256 gig SSD. That's very tight on space, I think, nowadays, though, isn't it? That the violet coloured one with the 512 SSD is 859, and then you've got the ocean as well. So you've got these different colour ones. So actually the specs of them they're all either the 256 or you've just got the 512 versions. And they don't include a charger anymore either. So you've got an extra 50 quid for your charger.
Well, I guess a lot of people have got USB-C chargers these days, so maybe that's not such
yeah, that's it. And of course you've got to buy your keyboard as well.
Yep.
But anyway, I like them. I've always been a big fan of the Surface devices. So
does the new Surface laptop still have a pen input? I know it's not got touchscreen, but does it still have?
Yes, I think it does have a pen.
Yeah, so that's fine then. I think that's a good compromise.
Yeah. I'll have to double check, but I think I've got off top of memory. I think it has. Yeah, because that's it. I do occasionally use the pen. Because one, you can use it touch input, but I also use it for signing documents as well. I always find it very handy for signing documents. And actually, that's one thing I was. Cubase actually works pretty well with the pen as well, so you can do your mixing with the pen. So. In fact, it's almost back. Do you remember when this RT launched? They were going to have special keyboards, weren't they, with all that kind of stuff on there? And there was a music one of that, but that never came to be. Anyway, I like the new Surfaces. They are expensive. We've always talked about these are a premium device. This one's not quite as premium as the others, but yeah, they're still very nice devices. What they do with the Surface Go laptop, because that kind of sits in below that price. Maybe we'll see if they release another one of them, or whether these are become the new lower price ones, and the Go range quietly disappears. But I got a feeling those Go ones are quite popular. I do see a lot of them when I'm out and about, especially the Go laptop. My wife's got one; she absolutely loves it. So it's an ideal device for her. So it's very interesting, new Surface stuff, which was really, really good to see, and yeah, I really enjoying using this Surface. So I've got a video coming out of using the music stuff, and I've already got one out showing how I got on with a recall and something else. I tell you one thing I did do I did manage to almost break it, and it's where you find the difference between ARM and Intel is I put it on the dev channel because I wanted to do some dev channel side of the new AI stuff on there. That broke the camera. Now, so I tried to fix the camera by uninstalling the drivers, reinstall the drivers, and then from then on, every time I enabled the camera, it blue screened the device, or a green screen as it is now. And this is where with ARM, these low-level drivers, I think they're less forgiving, and you're not really supposed to mess about with drivers. They're all built in. It's part of the image. So I tried to do a factory reset. I tried to do the Windows reset on it. So and that wouldn't do it either, because it was green screening during the setup process, because it was re-enabling those drivers, which would then crash it as well. So I thought, okay, I need to go back to a factory image. And of course, it's not quite as simple as just downloading an ISO, because you've got to get the one that goes with your machine. So in the end, the way I got it to work was I used the Surface toolkit for IT managers, IT departments, created an image which was a whopping 11 gig. So you need a USB drive that will fit that on as well. So I ended up with an SD card, got it to work. I ended up ruined one USB stick. It must have been some fault anyway. Got to work on the second one. So I got this recovered back to factory pristine condition with that toolkit, and I've left it on the release channel. I'm not messing about with it again. But yeah, there's a little bit difference with ARM that you've got to remember. They are more of a device rather, like you would a tablet or your phone or anything else, aren't they? I remember playing about with ARM images on the Raspberry Pi and whatever. They're pre-built almost, aren't they? So you're not for you to mess about with.
Yeah, exactly that. You don't, and you wouldn't want to mess around with this.
No, and that's what that toolkit's for. Is for IT departments to manage the devices, isn't it? So it's good that that toolkit exists.
Yeah.
So those are the things I've got new. Now I know you've been out and about on one of the EV shows. How did you get on with that?
So I went to Everything Electric London, the one at XL, which is a bit bigger this year. It was sort of they redesigned where they were doing the test drives, which I thought worked really well. They'd actually had them at each end of the hall, which was good. So they could test drive a few more cars. I actually got out in a couple of interesting cars. The new, I can never remember this, the nomenclature for this. I think it's the MG S5 EV, which is the replacement for the ZS EV that we have at home as a second car here, which is a little bit bigger, definitely a lot smoother and more refined, I would say. It's and new screens and things like that. Technology has improved. But the other one, which was particularly interesting to drive in, is the MG Cyberstar, which is the two-seater sports convertible sports car, which is a lot of fun to drive, I have to say. People say you can't have fun in electric cars, never driven an electric car, to be honest. It was really good. It is that bumper car experience. It's that sort of instant torque and just getting off the ground and and well designed. The scissor doors are a little bit weird to get used to. The sort of they open vertically to get in and out, which is my length of leg was a little bit challenging, but it worked fine. Interesting instrument panel. It was designed for the Chinese market, where it's legal to have a yoke steering wheel, like a half top.
Oh yeah.
In UK, they've had to go for a full wheel because that's legal requirement in the UK. So that does mean you can't really see one of the instrument panel because it was designed for that.
Anyway, yeah.
But it's not that important. A very futuristic area as well at one side. So yeah, really enjoyed driving that. Unfortunately, I couldn't film in that one, which was a shame because it would have been nice to film. But I have got some video I took of at another show where I was inside one. I'll probably put that up on my channel at some point. And the other interesting one, and I'm hoping to get these guys on the show shortly, is this company called OKB. We've got a lot of accessories for home charging and some really interesting and innovative stuff. And I will let them talk about some of the more innovative stuff in the next when they come on board, because there's really very innovative thing. But one thing they do is if you've got a Type 2 charger outside, and a lot of people have got these now where they're sort of like untethered chargers where you just plug your cable in when you get home and charge. They actually have adapters for that to allow you to have like a 3-pin socket on that, or so you've got a charger outside and you need an outside power lead for charging to running your lawnmower. You can use that as an adapter rather than having to put that extra socket in. And equally, they've also got a camping one as well. So if you've got like a motor car at home or something, you want to charge that up, you could use the Type 2 charger to charge that as well. So it allows it to be a bit more flexible. Some really nice sort of convertibles, and they've got a few other innovative stuff, things I have never seen before by anyone. And there's one bit which I know some of our listeners have actually asked for. So anyway, hopefully they'll be on the show in a couple of weeks' time, or maybe even next week. We'll see how I can get on and actually getting hold of them. But that was good. Really enjoyed that. A couple of other things. There was a couple of really interesting bikes. So I tried a cargo bike I think last show. Got the twins in the back and had them going around. But it was difficult to ride because it was so extended. But there's a couple of really innovative ones. One where they basically designed it so that it steers properly when even though you've got the extended sort of cargo piece, it just feels like you're riding a normal bike.
Right.
That was really clever.
Yeah. It's assisting.
And another one which I thought was exceptionally clever, which is the idea. It's basically a strap-on unit. So it's like a strap-on unit back for cargo. Also, but you can use it carrying potentially can, Jim. I don't think they've got the safety licensing for that yet. But it's basically a box, and underneath it has a wheel, which impinges on your back tire, and actually turns your normal bike into a powered cargo bike. It's got battery in it, and the wheel just spins and powers it. And again, that's got it knows to adjust the weight and adjust the power to make it a lot easier to ride. And it was just so much easier to ride than a normal cargo bike. So both of those I thought were really innovative, and you can actually find details of that on the Everything Electric site. They've got a whole load of stuff on that. So it was a really good day out. I highly recommend people going there. Lots of innovative stuff, lots of new battery storage technology for the house. Seeing more off-grid ability on those. So it used to be you can get the battery backups where they weren't capable of doing off-grid. That seems to be a standard practice now. Some interesting boiler replacements, electric type boiler type stuff with zero emission type things. So there's just some interesting bits and pieces on there which were good to look at. But yeah, certainly some fun bits, some really, I think some bits you'd quite like in terms of retro, not actually retro vehicles, but vehicles which have been designed to look retro but with electric stuff in them, and they were really quite cool. Some sport car type stuff. So it was fun. And even had a Formula E car there too.
Oh yeah, because I think it was their Formula E at Monaco at the weekend, wasn't it? Yeah.
So yeah, all good stuff. That was really interesting stuff. Thoroughly enjoyed that, and highly recommend that. There's I think it's Everything Electric South next. Which, that was Everything Electric London. So I think I said South. Everything Electric London, and then the next one is Everything Electric South in Farnborough. There's also Everything Electric North in Harrogate as well. So there's plenty of options to go and see things. Everything Electric North is actually quite a good one to go to because you tend to get a lot of cars there. From local dealers, so they have a bit more. I think they tend to have a bit more range. Some of the car manufacturers who don't want to pay out for going to events, the dealers bring cars for it. So you tend to get to look around a few more bits and pieces. But one thing I did what was interesting was the expansion in commercial vehicles. So there's a lot of vans and trucks and things there, and an electric bus as well, which my kids absolutely adore going on. But yeah, so it's really good things to see that. And the other thing I'd say is there's now a car for every market sector which is electric. I mean, a few years ago it would have been a struggle for me to find a 7-seater car. There's now 5, I think, I could choose from. Maybe 6 actually. 6 I could choose from in that market. And more vans coming on. So something which wasn't at that show, but is really interesting, I think, because of the price band for it, is the Kia PV series of commercial vehicles. So these are vans, basically. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these on the road because they're sub 30k to buy one, and they've got 200-mile range, or round about 200-mile range. Some the lower size battery is about 180-mile range, but they've been fitted out properly as vans, so they've got the full capacity you want. So a lot of I mean, the ID Buzz, for example, which is the nearest competitor to B5, is a little bit compromised on its usability as a van because they've had some of the internal decisions they made on it. This is a spot on that. It's also very futuristic. It looks like something out of Blade Runner or with some lights and things. It's very squared off, but just the front fascia of it is something you expect to see in a science fiction show. But the really interesting thing is it's a modular system effectively built in the factory. So you can have different variants of it. You can have a long version of it. You can have a tall version of it. You can have a passenger version of it. You can have a crew cab version of it. You can have one of the really interesting ones is a wheelchair access version of it for mobility. That's sort of all really well thought out. And also they have a drop back version which you will have the ability to have modules dropped onto it when they do it, and lots of flexibility around there. So more of it to come, but it's just the pricing bit. I mean, the passenger version is just going to be just over 30k, which if you compare that with the ID Buzz, which is nearly 60.
Wow, yeah,
you've got it's a huge difference, and makes it. And you think even if you compare it with some of the petrol and diesel vans of equivalent size it's a good price. So yeah, that's I think that's a bit of a game changer coming up, and that's going to be on that. You can pre-order it now. It's going to become. We'll be seeing a lot of these on the streets, I think, by the end of the year. I know of some very big companies who are buying a lot of them, so I think we'll see a lot of them around.
I suppose they're deliveries and your last
Yeah.
mile deliveries and all that kind of stuff. But,
and they're perfect for that. If you can get if you look at people say, oh, that 190 miles range isn't a lot for a delivery van. It's a lot because that's 190 miles of WLTP combined. That means you're probably going to get 400 miles range downtown, which is basically you charge up once and you've got a month's worth of driving for a lot of delivery vans. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think that will be definitely be an interesting one to watch out for.
Yeah, and I suppose as you get to the summer as well, this is where some of the test of the infrastructure comes in, isn't it? When you get all the charging points being used.
Yeah. Well, I think it's less of an issue nowadays than it was. I mean, because of the higher capacity of batteries, people are charging more at home. One of the interesting things with P5 actually is, unlike the other Kia vehicles, they've actually gone for Android Automotive, which is interesting from a commercial point of view, because there's lots and lots of tools for Android Automotive for managing your fleet and tracking your fleet and that sort of stuff. So I think that's a good move on their part. But also from the passenger vehicle point of view, I think it's quite good because it'll allow you to have a lot of flexibility in what you can put on it. I mean, for example, there's loads of smart home integrations for Android Automotive. So things like automating the doors opening and gates opening would be possible once you've got that.
Yeah. This I guess this is where all the technology seems to be going into the EVs, isn't it? I know it's in other cars as in petrol cars as well, but it always seems to go first now into the EVs because it's just a natural fit on there, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we can ever move away from 12-volt batteries, which would be good just have some the main battery be able to power most of this stuff. Having a bit of extra power is useful. I mean, that's obviously the other thing with any of the Kias is they've also all got vehicle to load as well. So if you're a carpenter, for example, and you've got your tools, you can power them from a socket in the back of the van, and you can power them for all day and not worry about it because it's not going to drain an awful much of your power. I mean, I remember when I was when we did one of the EV festivals, I powered a coffee machine off the back of my EV6 all day and lost less than one bar on the charge. So yeah, less than 1%. So it's not gonna, and that was quite a chunky coffee machine. It was a couple of kilowatts when it was running to heat up stuff. So I think power tools are going to be definitely an area where vehicle to load is going to become a real bonus thing to have. Yeah,
I suppose eventually in the future people will just get used to and expect to have mains power in their vehicles as they do in a house.
I think that will become the norm. A couple of one other interesting thing I wanted to talk about. So technology-wise, Mercedes have made an interesting decision with their new CLA car. They've basically only given it 800-volt charging, which means technically it can only use about half of the chargers in the UK, because most of the chargers in the UK, the older chargers, are 400-volt chargers, and you physically cannot use them on that. So you'd have to use something like the Ion system. I mean, it's less of a restriction than it sounds, because virtually all motorways and services now have fast chargers. I mean, the number of hubs out there now is just getting ridiculous. Virtually every motorway services you go to has got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chargers now. And they're expanding the ones that you've got. So the early adopter ones, like my local Peterborough extra services, where they've only got 4 or 5 chargers, they've got planning permission to expand those out, and we just keep getting more and more chargers installed around here as well. So there's lots of options for that. So I think it's less of a worry than it would be, and it's an interesting decision. I think it's possibly a very brave decision and a future decision, because I think we will be moving to 800-volt charging more generally. So that was one which was quite fun to see. But yeah, it's just I think and also just talking about EV chargers generally, then we've got way more chargers now. We've got petrol stations in the UK, which is interesting.
Oh, right, yeah.
And that's not because we've actually been installing a lot more EV chargers. It's because petrol stations are starting to close.
Right,
Because
yeah, because less demand. Yeah.
So that's an interesting. I'm not saying that, but anyway, that's what's been happening in the EV world.
Yeah, that's interesting, that, isn't it? Yeah. I wonder if will we see sort of the demand for fuel dropping? Will we see the price decreasing, or will we see them actually refining less of it, and therefore the price won't necessarily change?
Yeah, I think the price might actually go up. I mean, the other thing which has been really noticeable lately is the issues around hydrogen. So, and I've always said, I've said this many times about hydrogen being the future, and it always will be, because it's a nice. It sounds great to people. It's like fueling. You just plug it in and you fill it. Well, there's a lot more to it than that, and difficult transport and manufacturing and things like it has its place. I could definitely see it for ships and aircraft and that like. But it's interesting that several of the councils which have gone for hydrogen have actually had to for the bus fleets have had to withdraw the bus fleets recently because they just can't get the hydrogen supplies. Which is, I mean, I think unless you've got a local plant which is producing it, it's become a very difficult thing to get. There's been a hell of a lot of money pushed into hydrogen, and whether that's been wasted, I'm not sure. I mean, there are other alternatives coming out now which may be better for the old fuel type enthusiasts. I mean, it'll be expensive. I'm not going to say it won't be. I mean, that some of the things like e-fuels may come along and be available, which may be an option. But if you look at the price of e-fuel, you probably won't be, your wallet won't be happy with you, because it's very expensive at the moment.
Yeah. I think that'll get used in niche things, motorsport and other things like that. Yeah.
I think that there'll always be that enthusiasm. As I said to someone the other week, it's just like we still have steam engine running rallies. We're going to have petrol and diesel cars out there. People aren't going to get in the way. But yeah, I mean, it's. I was looking at the sort of the synthetic e-fuel stuff and the cost of it. Now this will come down, but it was. They were saying what it was. I see it was something ridiculous. Yeah, so it was. So they're aiming for around £5 €5 a litre, which is still quite expensive.
Yeah.
But currently it is significantly more expensive. I mean, I think I saw someone saying that they were filling up at around 60 euros a litre.
Yeah,
that's prohibitive at the moment. But I mean, obviously, all these things can scale, and they will do. And as you say, there's a niche for any of these things.
yeah, and it just means those niches that want to use it, like maybe historic motor racing or like events and things, that there's not going to be no issues getting it for that. It's a premium, but there's only a small demand for it, and for everything else there's whatever the electric in whatever form it is as it progresses. Like you've mentioned in the past, you get solid state batteries or whatever comes next. These things develop quickly now.
Solid state's taken a long time to get here, but there are now real world implementations of solid state. They're not full solid state, not the original way we were thinking about, but kind of hybrid solid state, which still give a huge increase in range and charging effectively, and convenience of build and lightness of the car, and you get back to some of those things. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next 2 to 3 years. Yeah, and it's we talked about this before on the show as well. It must be a concern for those people who have put all those charges in the number out there, because if we start getting 600-700 mile range cars, they become used a lot less. Even if we get 100, 200 mile range cars, which can charge fully in a few minutes, then again, those cars are going to probably only do one charge and do a journey rather than maybe to stop doing several stops, which they. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out over the next few months. So there's a lot of investment in those chargers, which is going to be difficult to claw back, I think. Especially with one of the big issues at the moment, which is cable loss. And there's an absolute crime spree at the moment for stealing EV charger cables. I mean, crime always increases when times are tough, and definitely that seems to be an easy win for a lot of people. Cut the copper off and go. And people say, "Oh, isn't there lots of electricity going for it?" But there's not when it's not plugged into a car, because it's all triggered by
it's got the handshake.
The handshake on the very low voltage cable. Which, interesting enough, is using the same technology as the old power. The power of your mains. Forget what it's called. PWA.
Which I used to have here.
Yeah, it's using exactly the same protocol as that uses.
Ethernet over power.
Yeah. So, that's quite an interesting one. But there are now prevention stuff coming in, and there's people looking at how they can make that. But one of the big things, of course, is that most of these, and this is slightly changing because we're starting to get hubs, as I said. But most of these chargers are one or two off at the back of a industrial area or something, and it's really easy for people to go in and not be noticed. Easy targets. So I can kind of see what's happened, but very frustrating if you happen to wanting to use one of those chargers and you turn up and the cable's been cut off. And the other question you always get is, well, why can't you carry a cable with you? Have you ever seen the size of one of those cables? They're sort of like that thick with all the cooling and stuff. So it's which is why they're such a tempting target, because they've got all the copper in them. But they would be a bit, curling one of those up in the back of your car, you wouldn't have much boot left. And it'd be a bit heavy to carry as well. So that's not going to be. And the other thing, which is equally difficult to do, is have them retractable. And that's the other thing. If someone said, "Why don't you have them retractable and pull them out?" That's not because of the structure of the cable.
You've got to coil them inside it with those big thick cables.
But there may be way advances coming on that. There's some people as well talking about superconductors and things like that would be. Make it possible to have much thinner cables and then do things like that, but we will have to see what comes up. But it's going to be. I think the next few years is going to be really interesting on this technology.
I think it's in that period of time, isn't it, where things are rapidly changing. Before we're on that steep curve until things get to sort of a more sedate level of technology.
And I think. It's like the early days of PCs. We're in full scale Moore's law at the moment. We're doubling the technology moving on really rapidly. So it's which is why it's difficult to maintain second-hand values. It's crazy bargains they've had on second-hand cars at the moment. I saw an equivalent of my old iPace on one of the sites for 14K, which is like. And it had only done about 40,000 miles, which means it's actually quite on a sweet spot for a car. That's our car, because most of the issues would have been resolved by that point. With the early adopter stuff. But it's definitely interesting out there at the moment. We'll see.
It's an interesting time to be into it, isn't it? As it's it's like being at the beginning of the PC technology. You had lots of different, all the home computers, and where we had all different standards, and eventually you get the convergence.
And
that's what we'll see them all. And then you ended up with with platforms, aren't we? And shared platforms and all this kind of thing that you're already doing in the car industry.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so plenty to keep it on there. So we'll be interested to see if we get your guest there, and those shows are definitely worth checking out.
They are indeed.
And so the shows, I'm off to Tangerine Dream on Friday.
Oh, cool.
In Manchester. last time I saw them was 1991, so it's been a while. But it's the 50th, or it's actually the 51st, I think, but 50th anniversary tour of Phaedra, which is sort of their first big album. So my wife's come with this. I think she's going to be either slightly confused or very relaxed by it, because it's the early stuff. It's very sort of ambient and everything else. But it should be good to see them. But yeah, I do like seeing what technology they're using, and it's a new place to Viva. I think it's called Viva Studios in Manchester. So I don't know if anybody knows where the old Granada Studios used to be. The Granada Studios tour in Manchester was. Yeah. They knocked that down and they built this brand new one. It's now supposedly home of Factory Records as well, which was further up the road in the Hacienda. But yeah, so interesting. So a new venue and a new concert show. I'm looking forward to going that. I'll be interested to see what technology they're using in there. So, where's the best place for anybody to find you and keep up with your channel?
YouTube. Look out for EV Owner, and that will get you to me. And you can see some of my latest videos. And I did a quick, brief overview of a few things from Everything Electric on there fairly recently, so you can catch up on some of those things. Or just follow me on the normal social medias at Garry WMA. I think I'm that on virtually everything. So just keep an eye on that. And hopefully in the next few weeks I'll be posting some bits about smart home stuff, because I've got a few more bits of tech coming my way to look at. Interesting outdoor siren, which would be quite interesting. Not because it's an outdoor siren, but because it's a solar powered Zigbee repeater, which could be very useful to allow further extension of outdoor Zigbee stuff.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the fact it's sirens. It's. I mean, I haven't actually seen it yet. But it says on the spec that you can actually pre-program what it says and how you can make it a siren, but you can also get it to do announcements as well. Sort of like,
right?
Don't move. The police are on the way.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, don't cut that cable.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. So hopefully I'll cover that, and maybe we can talk about that on the show as well.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, we shall be back same time, same place next week with more news and more guests. You can get me at AS Dixon on the social media platforms. I use them less and less, but you will find me on YouTube where I'm doing most of the stuff. And you can find my YouTube channel, and you'll find me on thedigital lifestyle.com. Right, well, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, take care.